First things first, always unmute your mic. There's been at least a couple streams where I haven't done that, and I'm just like, people are like, dude, unmute. And I'm like, yeah, still learning here. So it's the first thing I do now. Hey, welcome to the stream. A couple people here already. That's good. I mean, we're off to a good start, right? So, hey, just a quick reminder for those of you that are using Unreal Engine, make sure to go get your free assets for the month. There's some really cool stuff this month. Most of the months, like, there maybe is like one cool thing that I'm excited about, but honestly, like, all of these look pretty cool. This stats one, this integrates with the Steam API, so if you want to put your game on Steam, this will automatically like put those. You can integrate it directly with the achievements API. So that's cool. Hey, it saves you some work, right? You don't got to program that stuff yourself if you're putting a game on Steam. So I'll probably check it out at some point. This one, you can always use more assets, right? This one looks like some cool fantasy stuff. You know, if you're making like a medieval game or a fantasy game, good stuff in there. This one I really want to try out. Maybe if we have some time, we'll even check it out today on the stream. I mean, these types of things are just becoming more and more relevant. I think a lot of games now like allow you to build your own little shops and bases and things like that. I think it's pretty popular right now. So this one looks pretty good, and it's replicated, which means it works for multiplayer games. So save you some work. You know, let someone else do the work for you. Especially if you're an indie dev, you got a small budget. These types of things are money. It's free. It's free money, right? Cuts out stuff from your production time. This one, you know, as an elder millennial, I'm a little bit offended by this one. It's like no one likes when their own things that they grew up with become like retro. Like, this isn't retro to me. This is just when I was a kid, right? But hey, for the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, please make my childhood retro. It makes me happy inside. I know this is like really big right now. People are trying to make like, you know, grainy CRTV stuff, you know. Hey, it's cool. It's free, right? It's free. It would be $15 if you bought it. Today it's free. Well, until next month. This one is actually, you know what's funny about this one? I was making a game for my daughter, and one of the levels I wanted to have be inside a cave, and couldn't really find any good stuff. Didn't really want to pay for it. I considered just making the assets myself. But hey man, this one's free. Free today. It would have been $40. So altogether it's like close to $200, I think. Might as well grab them, right? Today's gonna be a little bit different. I know we've been doing, in the last stream last week, I asked people, you know, give me some ideas. In my Discord, I asked like, hey, throw out some ideas on things you want to see, and I'll do them on the stream. So did it again this week, but one of the requests was very interesting. It's not a request that I've gotten before. And it really got me thinking about how I think a lot of indie devs miss a critical step in development, and that is writing stuff down. Like, I think a lot of people get excited, they start to learn Unreal Engine, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna make this really cool game. I have all these ideas in my head, and I'm just gonna like start putting it down. And what you end up doing is you start just picking things off kind of one at a time. And you may develop like, all right, the player needs to be able to move around, so I got that down. And the player needs to be able to attack, so I got that down. And then the enemies there needs to be some enemies, so I'll make an enemy. And now I want an inventory system, so I'm gonna create that, and then I'm gonna create some loot. And then at some point you just like keep adding on and adding on and adding on. And two things happen typically. One, the game kind of scales out of control, and you end up with this like giant, way bigger project than you can manage yourself. And then maybe you just keep picking away at it. Maybe you get discouraged. Maybe you try to find some people to help. But in my opinion, in my personal experience with these types of things, most people, I think, get discouraged and burn out and realize like it's way too big, and they just either lose interest or move on or whatever. Another common thing that happens is that you end up with a mess, a huge mess, because maybe you create a loot system and an inventory system, and then you try to add on an equipment system where you can equip items, and then you realize like, oh shit, it doesn't really work. So now I got to go back and I got to reprogram the inventory system to work with the equipment system, or I got to like hodgepodge it together, and you become like these systems that are really like not working, not integrating well with each other, or they're tightly coupled where you're like hard referencing things that, and then maybe you get it working, and then you're like, all right, I want to add another system. I want to add like a building system where I can build, you know, let's say we want to use this, I want to be able to like build bases and chairs and things. And then you realize like that's not really working with the inventory system. So then you got to redo everything again. And you just get in this like loop where you're constantly like reprogramming things. So today, I'm going to see how this works. We're going to try something. We'll see how this works. It's going to be a little different. Not like super different, but like different enough. We're going to talk about game development requirements. So it's very common in software development in the software development pipeline, it's very common to have like a list of requirements that are set out before anyone starts to write code. Maybe you get like a very small scale like MVP prototype working just to see if it's fun, just to see if it's working. And then maybe you would move on to this stage, right? Hang on, I gotta make sure that. All right, good. But anyway, this is like very common in software development. Actually, in any engineering, like I've worked in engineering for a long time now, and very early on in the process, you start defining the requirements. Like, what are the requirements that we need for this game? And you may have like market requirements, which would be like your target audience, like the size of the game, the scope, how big of a project it's going to be, how like all of that stuff. But when you get to like the software side of it, you're going to define like everything that the software needs to do. And this is not uncommon. Like, this is really helpful with game dev. And I think a lot of people cut this out. So, nope. I was using the same template for multiple projects. So what do? So the first thing is it makes sure that your team is like fully aligned, right? Everyone on the team knows what needs to be done. Once you have the requirements, you can look and you can say like, all right, like we all are agreeing this is the game we're going to make. This is the project we're going to make, right? Helps identify gaps. So as you start writing things down, you may realize that the inventory system needs to allow equipment, it needs to allow building materials, it needs to allow like all of these different things. So when you start developing your inventory system, you have a list of everything it needs to be able to do based upon like the big scope of your game. It actually does streamline your development time. It may seem like counterproductive to like spend time like writing all this stuff down, but in my experience, it actually streamlines things, because the first thing is it's going to mitigate rework. You're going to identify those gaps. You're going to identify everything that your system needs to do. And then you can just build to those requirements. Also, it's like by writing down the requirements, you're easily defining the classes that you need to set up. So you're going to be able to set up a loot class, and you're going to understand like, all right, this loot class is going to be a parent to multiple types of other classes. So we have a hierarchy. We have like a parent-child hierarchy of like equipment, and then an equipment can be, you know, armor or a weapon, or maybe, I don't know, like accessories and things like that. You're going to identify all that stuff. You're going to identify like, all right, we need to be able to have building materials, which is going to be apparent to like wood, stone, you know, things like that. Also, the methods and variables in your class are going to be pretty much defined. You're going to understand like what each class needs to be able to do. So you're going to be able to identify like all the functions, all of the variables that that class should hold and how they should work with each other, what interfaces you may need, what dispatchers you may need. Systems are equally broken down into tasks. So once you have all the requirements for a class or for a system, you can identify the tasks that need to be done. Allows you to scale and delegate work to your team. And one thing also is it's different from defining the rules. So the rules govern like how the game is played. The requirements govern kind of like a layer deeper than that. So the rules are requirements, but you're also going to define it like deeper, like what happens when the player clicks on something. Like that would be a requirement. So I kind of like tried my best to break down a common game that everyone would understand. Tic-tac-toe, pretty easy game, right? Most people, I think this is pretty much across all cultures. But even if it's, I mean, everyone knows what tic-tac-toe is, right? So these are the rules of tic-tac-toe. And I might have missed something, but I think I got it. So it's played by two players. One is the X, one is the O, but that's not really a requirement, right? You could have any two symbols. You could have like a sword and a shield. Like you don't need X and O, but that's typically how the game is played. It's played in a 3x3 grid. They alternate turns. X goes first. The player finds a space on the grid and they say, I'm going to put my symbol here. And you win when you get 3 symbols in a row. And if no one wins, then it's a draw, right? So that's the rules. But the requirements may look something more like this, where you say like, what is a game board? A game board is a 3x3 matrix, and each location must allow players to place their designated symbol in that location. And it can only set one symbol during each game. So you need to, like, that is a requirement. Like once a location has been selected, you can't put another one on that space, right? So the programmers would realize this and basically say like, all right, so I need to have each space be identified, and like you can only select one that's null, right? All right. Each player is identified by a unique symbol, so usually X and O, but it doesn't need to be. Player must be able to select locations in the matrix during their turn, so the turns are going to alternate. So you cannot select when it's not your turn. That would be a pretty fun game of tic-tac-toe, right? Where you just try to click as fast as possible. But maybe you want to make that. Maybe that's an alternate version, right? Where people can just do whatever the hell they want. All right, and then we're usually going to define the win and lose conditions. In this case, there's pretty much a winner or a draw. So the winner is when someone gets 3 in a row, right? A draw occurs when all the locations are selected and there's no straight line, right? So that's kind of like how I would define the requirements for tic-tac-toe. Now I could take this, and this is pretty easy to make this game now, right? I know I need a game board. I know I need a player. They need to have a symbol, and I need to allow the player to click on one of the matrices, matrix locations. And then I just needed to find the win and lose condition, or the win and draw conditions, right? So that's pretty straightforward. You could take this right here and you could program tic-tac-toe probably in an hour or 2, right? Which if you haven't done yet, I recommend. That's actually a really good challenge for someone that's kind of new to game dev. Take a simple game like tic-tac-toe, or I don't know, something really simple like a game that, you know, is usually played by younger people because it's not as complex, and just program it. I think it's a good challenge. All right. So someone came to me in the Discord and they basically said, hey, I have this game I'm making. I want the player to be able to move between levels, but I want it to like be a designated location in the level. So when I go to the next level, I'm going to spawn at a certain location in that level. And if I go back, I'm going to go back to this, like the similar location in the level I came from. But each level should have multiple locations that a player can like go in from, and this should be scalable. And I said, well, I'll do it on the stream, write down the requirements, right? So here's the requirements that they gave me. I cleaned them up a little bit because I want to use certain words like must. So must in a requirement means this has to work. Like this is not optional. it needs to work every time, right? So must support multiple levels. Each level must have at least one entrance and one exit, so you can't get stuck in a level basically. And the entrance should lead to the beginning of the level, exit should lead to the end or to another level. Well, yeah, that last part isn't a requirement. It's using the word should, right? The entrance and exit must have a designated spawn point where the player character will be positioned upon entering or exiting the level. So this is the key, right? I'm going to go into one level and I'm going to go to the right location. Should be optimized. Yep, we're going to make a pretty optimal system and should be scalable. We're also going to do that. So today what we're going to do is we're going to build this system based upon the requirements. Now, I've done like a little bit of pre-work just to try to make the stream a little bit more interesting. Hey Jay, I had like the chat box, I couldn't see that. So I don't know, that could have been like 5 minutes ago. But anyway, I did a little bit of pre-work here, but not much because I wanted to try to program most of this myself. So here's all I've done. I've created 3 levels. We're gonna call this level 1, right? And we're gonna create one entrance here that's gonna go to level 2, which is shaped like a T. So we want that entrance to put the player here. But we also wanna have 2 additional entrances, 2 additional like exits or entrance, depending on which way you're going, I guess. And we want these to go to 2 different locations in level 3. So level 3 is shaped kind of like a U, I guess. So we want one of those to go over here and one of those to go over here, so that if the player goes in through this one, let's align it the same. If the player goes through this one, they'll go on that side of 3. And if they go in this one, they'll go on this side of 3, and vice versa when they come back. So if a player goes through this one into 3 and then loops around this and comes in this way, they'll spawn right here. And likewise from 1 to 2. Now, each of these does have a player start location, but we're gonna handle moving the player once we spawn into the level. And that's what we're gonna try to do for the first part of this stream today. That's all the pre-work I've done. I did do one other thing just to save some time because I found that like creating widgets on stream is kind of boring. I created a loading screen, but what I do want to do here is do a animation. I've never done this on any of my videos, so I just want to show really quick how this animation system works. You can actually do this. You can do some really cool stuff with this. So the blueprint animation. So the way I usually do it is I select what I want to animate, and in this case I'm using a canvas panel to like hold everything. So I'm going to use this because this is like the thing holding everything. And I'm going to click this animations down here. I'm going to create a new animation. I'm going to call this fade in out. And then when I select that, you can see that it says selected fade in and out. That's the animation I'm on. And then I also want to, so here I want to say track, and I want to select canvas panel. But you can also go to like this, meaning like I'm already on the canvas panel, right? But if I wanted to pick one of those, I could. So I'm going to say canvas panel. And then what do we do next? And then I'm going to click this little plus for a track. I'm going to say opacity. Right? And now I can create keyframes to fade the opacity in and out. So the first one I'm going to do is right here. Yeah, it already has one at 0, and the opacity at 0 I want to be 0. So this thing is not visible, right? And then let's say maybe there's a ½ a second fade in. So I'm going to put 1. And now if I drag this, you can see that we're like fading this whole thing in. Let's try to make it a little bigger. Right? And then let's give it ½ a second to load in the level. And then we will fade it out over ½ a second. So now if I hit play, we can see it fades in and fades out. and you can make this longer. If you have like a big level and you're noticing like it's taking longer to load, you can make that timer longer. Or let's say we feel like that fade in is too slow, we can move this one over here. There we go. That looks cool. All right, let's give it half a second, but then we'll make it a longer fade out. Yeah, that looks good. All right, now we need to keep in mind this 0.25 seconds because we don't want to load in the next level until like the fade out is completely black. So we're gonna actually use a delay or a timer, but this is pretty much done now. So we're gonna make 2 blueprints for this, and I've already created a folder called level transition. I'm gonna make one blueprint that's called, these are both gonna be actors also. And I want this one to be called BP transition from. I'm gonna make another one called BP transition to. Now this is just how I'm gonna do it. There may be a better way. I never ever will sit here and tell you that I'm the best programmer in the world. However, I have created a system like this for another game. It worked great. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have on each of these, there's gonna be like a unique identifier, and we can create like a random symbol. What I'm gonna do is create like some intelligent way to identify like what the transition is. And then we can put these into the level, into our level. One thing we're gonna need, I don't think in this is the one we've been using for like everything on the stream, so it's kind of like becoming a hodgepodge at this point. But I did realize I don't have a game instance, so I will need that because we're gonna use that to pass information back and forth. So we'll call this BP game instance. I spelled it right without seeing. Congrats. All right. Let's make this stream a little bit bigger. Screen with camera. Yeah, now you guys can see a little bit bigger. All right. So what were we doing? Oh, we need to set that game instance. Project settings, maps and modes. And then down here, we'll set this game instance because we want to be able to pass things between, we need to be able to pass things through between levels, really. I will open that because I want to make sure that, so I'm going to create a variable. Let's just call it a string for now. I think this is probably what we want. And we're going to call this transition name. Let's call it that. And essentially how this is going to work, I'll kind of like draw it up here, is let's use some print strings as like holding places. So this one would be like the transition from, and we want to pass in, we want to get on that actor on transition from, we want to get a name of what the name is, right? And then in the and then we'll pass that into game instance. We're going to set it to that name. And then for the transition to, we're going to, this will have a name and this will have a matching name. So it'll be a system that matches those two names. So we're going to pass it into game mode. We're going to set it to this. And then when we load the new level, we're going to find all of the transition to actors. We're going to find the one that has the same name as the variable we passed in, and then we want to move the player to that location. And all this should happen seamlessly during our loading screen. So when the loading screen fades away, the player will be where we tell them to be. So let's open this up first. Let's do the transition from, and the transition from is actually going to need a collider. We'll use a box. Let's go to level 1 to start. And I'm gonna put one of these. I kind of want like also some type of door frame. Transition from. Let's make a door frame real quick using the modeling tools. All right, accept. Crap. How do I do this? All right. Box. I don't remember how to do this. Edit. Nope. I don't use this that much. I usually do this in Blender. If I'm gonna do it. I want to inset. Oh, but I want to do both. Right? Inset. That looks terrible. Maybe it would just be easier to just make the frame. You know what? All right, look at that. What the hell did I do? How do I bridge these? This would literally take me 2 seconds in Blender. So why not just do it in Blender? Because I'm stubborn. How do I Yeah, it's an interesting feature. Bridge. Nope, cannot bridge current selection. This is it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you are not good in Blender, this does save time. Fill hole. Nope. I'm just gonna do it like this. Box. This will be way easier. Poly. Edit. I don't even know how big this is though. Watch me make it like way too big. That looks good. All right, Now we have that. We can extrude. 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 Look at that. We made a door frame. Terrible, right? But it works. And let's make the material wood. There we go. Look at that. Best door frame in the world. What is this? All right. Now this thing is, where is this? Yeah, it's a work of art. It's very terrible. I think that's the word. Let's make it a different color wood, because now it looks better. It's not great, but it's better, right? Where does it put these? Level prototyping, meshes. Oh, here we go. Generated. Let's put it in, let's put this in here. Let's delete this one. We didn't want you. All right, level prototyping meshes. We'll call it door frame. And then in my transition from, I want to actually just add one of those. Wow. What have I done? Let's just see how big this is. I'm going to put it in my... Man, that's like almost a perfect size. You'd almost think that I did it on purpose, right? I want to make it, I'm just going to do this because I'm being lazy. That looks right. Good enough. This should just be like black. Like a black void. Hello, can you play my game? Maybe. I would have just loaded the door frame. This is interesting to watch though. Is it? Is this peak content? What is your game, Mr. Unreal Programmer? Or sorry, Mr. or Mrs. or they or whatever. What is your game that you want me to play? All right, look at that. Now when we collide with this, let's use that as the collider. I don't think we need a collider. Let's make this overlap all, and we will get an overlap. No, which one is it? This is the, we'll call this the void. We want to get an overlap for the void. Collision, on begin overlap for the void, right? I don't know. It looks Russian. I don't speak Russian or whatever language that is. Sorry. I wish I did. I spend too much of my time making games and not learning new languages, though, I guess. It's a shame. All right. So when we overlap this, I want to get the game instance. Get game instance. I know we've had some discussions about this. I'm going to cast. We should only ever have one game instance. It's already loaded, so this does not cause any performance issues. If you disagree, fight me. Transition name. So we want to set transition name. And here on my transition from, I want to make that a variable. And I want to make this instance editable. And I don't think we need expose on spawn. But now here I can call this a transition. I can set my transition name on this transition from actor. And I'm going to call this, because we're in level 1, I'm just going to call this level 1 exit. All right. So now that's saved, but what do we need to do, right? We need to I'm creating games in Unreal Engine and 11 years old. Oh, you're Ukrainian. Well, I guess it's looks similar to Russian, to an uneducated American, to a ignorant American. But now I see that you've told me it's Ukrainian and you're 11 years old, and that's impressive. That's great. Yeah, maybe not on stream, because I'm usually pretty cautious about what I'll put up here. But if you head to my Discord, I would be happy to, I gotta open Discord so I can get the link. If you're in Twitch, it sends the link periodically. Haven't figured out for YouTube yet. I'm what someone would call an idiot. No, I'm just not great at streaming. I'm still kind of learning. Let's see, general chat. Let's send a link. And I'm gonna make this this will be good for 7 days. Yeah, so lots of people on the Discord to help. A lot of, I think there's like almost 70 people on there now. Really awesome community of people. Yeah. Hey, thanks for the follow. I have something that shows when people follow, and I don't even know what it says. I have no idea. But yeah, the Discord is it's It's a place where you can meet other developers, maybe even work together with some people. But if you put the link there, yeah, I'm on both. And look, now here comes the Streamlabs spam. Join the Discord. See, it's like as soon as you say something, it'll be like, hey. But yeah, the Discord's a great place. I've been like super impressed by the community there. And look, it's already beeping at me. All right, so what do we want to do? We want to, we also actually need in this transition from, we need another variable called target, I'll call it target level name. This should also be a string or a name, and this should be instance editable. And we want to be able to set this when, like, to tell the player, to tell the developer, like, what level should they transition to. So we're going to call this level 2 for this one. And in the from, we're going to say, first of all, let's create that loading screen. What did I call it? I thought I called it loading screen. Level transit. That's not a good name for it. All right. We're going to add to viewport. One thing I forgot to do on here actually, was we created this animation here, right? Fade in, fade out. We actually need to play it. So on construct, we can get a reference to that transition, and we need to play animation. I think that's all we have to do. You can set it to play like multiple loops if you want. I'm just going to use one because we want it to load and then unload. So in our transition from, we're going to do that. So that's going to pull up that loading screen. We can actually see how it looks right now. Can I not? Did I do something wrong? Oh. Overlap all. The door frame should be block all. I did it wrong. All right. So there's our loading screen. That's working. And then in here, one thing I want to do is just remove from parent self. We just want to get rid of this. We don't want like a million of them. So I'll just do that. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll check out your Discord link after the stream maybe. All right, so that's working. The next thing, so because we had that 0.25 second delay in our animation, right? 0.25. I want to set a timer. So I'm going to say set timer by function name, and the function name is going to be created now. Level transition. I'm going to call this at 0.25 seconds. We only want to call it once, so we're not going to set the loop. And then transition level, we're just going to say open level by name. and we're going to pass in this level name, right? And that should work. Let's set up our 2, and to do that we need to go to level 2 levels. Actually, we can do it in here, but then we'll go to level 2 to test it. So blueprints, level transitions, transition 2, right? And this, I think we're good here. All right, in the transition 2, we also need to have that same variable, transition name. So let's create a variable. It's going to be a string. It's going to be called transition name. I think that's all we need here, because we can do the rest through the game mode. So the game mode is called when we load a level, right? Let's try to do it through the game mode. It might not, I think it's the best place to do it. I'm gonna think about it for a second. I mean, it will work. My question is whether it's the best place to do it. I think it's fine. We're just prototyping, right? I mean, the alternative would be to create, like, where else would we put it? I'm trying to think. Like, for a single player game, this is probably the best place to put it. So I'm gonna create a function, but I'm gonna call it right on begin play. So what I'll start is I'm gonna say get all actors of class, and the class is gonna be transition 2 for each loop. All right, now that I have this, I'm gonna collapse this to a function. I'm gonna call this move to transition point. All right, let's go in here. So we want to get all of the transition 2 points, and we want to get transition name. I think before I do this, I'm going to set a reference to my game instance. Get game instance. Game instance. I usually do this in my game mode. It might be bad practice, I don't know. But I find that the game mode often needs to get things from the game instance. So I usually just set it as a reference on my game mode. Maybe it's a bad practice, I don't know. Or I guess the other would say, the other way to say it would be maybe it's not necessary in every case. So do you want to really like set this every time? But I do, because I'm gonna need to use it pretty much immediately, and I don't think this is causing like a huge performance issue. Again, we're casting, but the game instance is already loaded into memory, so we're not costing ourselves more memory. And then this saving as a variable is like, especially as like a persistent variable, but whatever. All right, then we're gonna get game instance. We're gonna get transition name. You know what we can do is we can check if this is null first. equal exactly. Because in our game instance, this does not have a default value. It's blank, right? Give me moderator for... No, dude. Sorry. Nah, not gonna happen. Good effort though. Appreciate that. Gotta appreciate the effort, right? But no. All right. If it's false, then we want to do this. If it's true, meaning this would happen the first time we load the game, essentially. We don't want to do anything because we just want the player to just start at the player start location, which is here. If it's not though, let's get this again. Equal. I hate that the stupid strings do that. What am I working? Give me your house. Yeah, please come. I got a spare bedroom. Anyone's welcome. So yeah, I could go back to that. The one of the viewers or one of the people in the Discord asked me to create a level transition system. So essentially what this will do is it'll allow the player to, like, we set up 2 actors, transition from, transition to. So we have a transition from, which is here. It looks like a door, and then a transition to, which just doesn't look like anything. So essentially what this will do is allow levels to have multiple entrances and exits, and each of those is linked together. So think of like a large house with, or a cave, like a dungeon, where like there's different corridors that go to different places. So if you go into one location, we don't just want it to like load into the same location every time. So it'll load up the level, and then it'll find like where it should send the player to, and then it'll move them to that location. That's what we're making. Yeah. What was I doing? Oh, game mode. So if it's true, then we want to move, set world location. I guess we could have a rotation too. Let's do that, because actually that's interesting, because we don't want to load the player up and have them be like facing the door. So actually we do need something on this transition too, and it's going to be an arrow pointing like in that direction, so that we can actually set what rotation the player should spawn into the level at. So for this one, it's gonna be like that. And a key, if you're gonna create the system like I'm making it, you never want like, this is my transition to. I don't want it like right on the door, because you're gonna get stuck in a loop. Maybe not even like this close, because if you've ever played, like, I remember there was one level in Final Fantasy VII when I was a kid where like you would walk into the level, but then if you hadn't let go of the like, or if you like pressed up, it would have you go like back in the same way you came, and it was like so annoying. If I played the game today, like 20 something years later, I would probably still do it. Oh my god, almost 30 years. Like, because it's just natural that like when you go into the next level, you think you would keep moving in the same direction, but you actually need to move in the opposite direction. But if you're not paying attention, you just end up like going right back where you came from. Super annoying. Anyway, so we want to have this arrow that spawns the player in the correct configuration as well. And this will become really important with that level where we have like 2 different entrances. We're almost there. Game mode. You know what I almost want to do here is like, well, I guess I could just do this. reroute node. Because I want to get world location and get world rotation. I guess I could do get world, nope. World transform. And just break that out. I think this will work. Just like that. If this is how this is, I don't even know if we need this branch. I guess what this does, it prevents us from doing all this stuff if we don't need to. So it's almost like saving some processing on that initial load up. All right, let's go to level 2. And let's set up this one now. Transition from. Shoot, I don't remember how this works. Target level name is level 1. I don't remember how we did this. Transition name is level 2 start. Let's call that. Let's call it that. Because the target level, we want to be the level that we're moving to, right? Because that's what we do here, target level name. And then here, we just need to make sure that we actually set that level, that name correctly. Let's set up the rest of them while we're in here. Okay, so transition 2 is this needs to be instance editable. And then this is going to be transition name is going to be level 2 start. Transition 2. Oh, this one should be level 1 exit. You probably want to. I would actually. I'd be like, I'm confusing myself now. I'm thinking you may just want to like write them all down somewhere. I don't know. But this should. So this is called. Transition name level 1. No, I did that backwards. Transition name level 1 exit. This one is level 2 start. All right, just to clarify, we need to set where we're going to should be the name of the location in the level that we want to transition to, like just to like wrap our head around that. The transition from is going to be where do you want to go to in the new level. And just, I would recommend if you're going to use the system, create some type of like naming structure. What I'm going to try to do is make sure that the transition name has the target level name in it and then a location. So like I need 2 more of these, right? So I'm going to create this one over here. And then this one over here. And this should be level 3 and level 3. But then the names, the transition name should be where do we want to go to. So if we're looking at this from the top, this one is the left. So we'll call this level 3 left. And then we'll call this one level 3 right. Both of them are set to level 3. And then this one, we want to go back to level 1, so it's called level 1. And where do we want to go to? The exit of level 1. We want to like go back to where we exited level 1. And then this transition 2 is called level 2 start. This transition 2, let's rotate it so we're facing the right direction, is going to be called level 2 left. And then we'll create one more over here. And we'll call this one level 2 right. Let's go to level 3, set that one up, and then we'll check if we made any mistakes. So we want this to go to level 2. And we want this to be called level 2 left. Let's just create those first so we don't forget or mess it up, because I'm confusing myself over here. All right. And we want this to be level 2 right. Transition 2. For these ones, I'm going to do it like you kind of came in, and I don't want to be looking at a wall. So maybe I'll do it like that. And then this one is going to be called level 3 left. Level 3 right. All right, now for the moment of truth. Let's take a wager. How many bugs did Jim create? How many bugs did Jim create? Let's just, all right. Yeah, you never know until you know, right? So this first one should go to level 2. Look at that. All right, we're a little bit more forward than we wanted to be, but nope. What happened? Oh. Didn't we set that right? It spawned us here. Level 3 left. left. Oh, it's not working at all. Transition from. So the whole damn thing doesn't work. That's why it spawned us in that random location. All right, let's figure out why it's not working. This worked. This worked. Let's do a print string here. I want to see if we're like, where are we messing up? We got the hello. I think it's the, oh, duh. Get player character. That's why. I think it was literally just that. Let's see. Nope. Set world location and the rotation. Are we getting a true here? That could be it. Are we getting a hello here? So this is going transition 2. This should do one print string. Level 1 exit. All right. What am I missing here, man? Level 1 exit. This one should be level. I'm just confusing myself now. Oh man, this should work now, right? Oh yeah, look at that, it worked. I just made some mistakes in my. All right, we're on that side. Now when we go on this one, we should come into the world at the other side. Perfect. Let's transition this one. You probably want to play test all of these too. Have a name. Level 1 exit. All right, we got it working. It works. So that's a pretty basic system you can use, right? Pretty basic. Let's get rid of all those print strings that we don't need. This one doesn't have anything. All right, game instance doesn't have anything. All right, I think we're good. So we'll just do a review really quick on how this is all working. Let's save everything. All right. So essentially what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a system where the player could move between levels, but that once we spawn into a level, it's going to like put the player in the correct location in that new level. So I had 3 levels set up. This one is just a boxed room. This one had like a T shape with 2 doors. This one has like a U shape with 2 doors. So essentially we wanted to be able to go from 1 to 2 to 3, and then from 2 to 3 there's 2 possible ways we could go, and then in 2 we could also go back to the start, right? And notice that the player start in this level is like here. I did that on purpose to be able to immediately tell if I was doing something wrong, which we did. We made a mistake, right? It's normal. It's part of the process. And how we accomplished all this is we have a variable on our game instance called transition name. And then we have 2 actors, a transition from, which looks like a door frame, and a transition to, which doesn't have anything except for this arrow, so we could have a visual of what direction the player is going to be like facing when they come in. In our game mode, we just get a reference to the game instance so we can use it again, and then we call this right off the bat move to transition point, which is going to first check if transition name is null. So that way we're not going to run any of this code on the initial start of the game, because that by default is set to null. So basically, like when the player first starts playing the game, they're just going to, you know, be there wherever they are. Then we call this part, which is just going to get all those transition to actors, and we're going to check the transition name and see if it matches the one that we have in our game instance. And if it does, we'll get the location and rotation of that transition to actor and set our player location and rotation to that transform. Transition from just does some basic stuff. We're gonna get our game instance, and we're gonna set the transition name on this actor to the transition name in our game instance so we can pass it to the next level. And then we make our loading screen, which we put an animation on so it fades in and out. And then we set timer by function, which is level transition. And all that does is take this target level name and open level by name. So we now have like a scalable system where you can just put these 2 actors, as many of them as you want, into a world. And as long as you're not an idiot like me and make mistakes on how you name them, you just name them in a way that makes sense, and you can move around between the levels. So that was fun, and it only took an hour. Man, what a champ. I've also noticed the delay is like really bad. My internet must be garbage. I also think the multi-stream sometimes impacts it. So if you guys say something, but no one's talking to me right now, so I guess it doesn't matter, but it's like maybe even a minute. It seems pretty crappy. Maybe I should close the streams and stop watching myself. Maybe that'll help. Let's see if that gets better. What else can I close? Let's close Discord too. I want to remind everyone again, I did it at the top of the stream, but make sure you check out your free for the month assets on the Unreal Store. There's actually some really good ones this week or this month. Probably some of the best ones I've seen in a while. And they're free. I promise you. When I started learning Unreal Engine, I would only get the ones I thought I would use. And in hindsight, there was probably so many I passed on that I would have used. Especially now that I'm doing like a lot of prototyping, you just need like tons of assets, like the more the merrier. So make sure you go get them. This is your reminder from me. Now I'm gonna close this because I don't need it. One of the other requests, let's see here. There's another request. I'm going on Discord on my phone so I can save some resources. Is Unreal Programmer still here? Sent you a friend request. Man. The name is Unreal Programmer. I'm looking at what the other request was. UI widgets. The most boring thing to stream, but we can make it fun maybe. In our game, we just have like a basic health bar because we were doing some testing on like a health component. And this is just like my streamed conglomeration of all the bull crap that people have asked me for and I've hobbled together. So it's just like this mess of a it's like a total mess. Where's my maps? Yeah, we can see here like all this crap we've put in there that I've made. So we made like so this is, maybe I'll just make this accessible to people at some point just so they can see all the crap that we've made, that I've made. But we made an interact system on this. We made a keypad system. We made some attacks. If you didn't see the last stream and see this sweet melee system we've set up, I'm gonna show you. Prepare yourself. See, I got these weapons in the ground. I can pick one of them up. That one's rolling away. Look at that. All right, so I got a weapon equipped now, and here's an enemy. I'm gonna hit him. Prepare yourself. This is intense. This is super violent. But we made this animation in Unreal Engine using the system, the in-system animation that you can use. But we were just trying to show like a demonstration of how to make a melee system work. We also created a health component, which we can see that like on our enemy here. Oh, also like we can pick up different weapons and then it'll drop the other one into the world. They got some weird colliders on them, that's why they're rolling like that. But we had a health component that we set up that like this enemy has one, the player has one, so we can see the health bar. This one will do damage to me. The health bar is going down. This one will fill it back up. And then this is a barrel, and we can also explode the barrel and spawn some coins. So we've been doing like a bunch of random crap in this project. Yeah, it's so violent, right? I'd probably get banned for that. Please don't report me for violence. The side-handed slap with the sword. But I was also trying to show like you can make animations in Unreal Engine now using the rigs. The rig that, so like if you go to rig, you type that in, this one that has like all the rigging symbols on it, and you drag that into the world, it'll open up this animation mode, and you can actually create custom animations. So if you're just trying to like work something out and you don't have a budget for animations, you can just make some placeholders. I also use that for the course that I'm making, which is going to create an endless runner. I wanted to have like a quick animation where they could like dash between the lanes. And I couldn't really find anything, so I just made it. And it doesn't look great, but it's also not terrible, and it gets the point across. So yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm not an animator. I don't know what I'm doing, but the fact that you can do that stuff directly in Unreal Engine now is pretty cool to me. So I love it. All right. What do we want to do? Oh, we wanted to do some UI stuff. So UI is typically not that interesting to stream, but I will talk about it because I've been learning about web development for another project I'm working on, and specifically React. And I think this is true with a lot of like UI creation. So if you're doing this professionally as a software developer and you're a UI developer, UX developer, regardless of what framework you're using, React is pretty common for front end for web development. And it, like, I know program projects I've worked on in the past, like in C#, I did some stuff for my previous company. You want to have everything in your UI componentized. So what I mean is like everything should be its own individual component. So here we have this HUD, right? And like our interact is its own widget that's self-contained, and that way if we need to make changes to the interact widget, we can just change that and we don't have to change the whole HUD. This health bar, we can make that its own component, or maybe you could have like a stats blueprint, stats widget that you have all everything that the player is going to be seeing showing up. This really is the best way to use Unreal Engine, because each of your widgets is like more self-contained than just trying to like throw everything into the HUD. You want to create like a widget for each part of the UI that should be showing. So like if we wanted to, if we had like weapons, for instance, in this game, and we wanted the weapon that the player had equipped to be showing on the screen, maybe we would create like a equipment widget or something and then pull that into the HUD. But I think a really good example of this is like in hey Star Wars edits, welcome to the fun party. There's like a really bad delay that I'm trying to fix, but I even have like the low latency streaming on. Didn't fix it. Someone was like, you got to do that. Warlord from Discord, what are you working on? We just created a level transition system to be able to move the player between levels, and now I'm just talking about widgets and web development and whatever. But there weren't a lot of requests for this stream, so I think I'm just gonna wing it. One of the things I thought maybe I could work on is some of the projects from the Game Development Basics course. We can go back and work on one of those. I could work on some stuff for the new course, although kind of we're already doing that. So we're making an RPG in the new course, and a lot of the systems that we're making here, like I'm just working out the kinks of. For instance, that level transition one is out of your league. What's out of your, nothing's out of your league. You can do this. This is easy. Unreal Engine is so easy. Like, I'm not that smart, comparatively speaking. I'm typically never the smartest person in the room in any given case. So if I could do this stuff, and even the one thing I will say I'm good at is, I have a lot of experience doing course development and instructing, which I think does help me create content for blueprints for YouTube. But it's not like I'm an expert. Like, I don't know this stuff better than most people. I'm not like, Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to rush too. Like it should take you some time to get through. Like the point of the course is to make sure that you're really building that foundation so that by the end of the course, I'm pretty confident, although I haven't, there's not many people that have actually gone through the whole course, and if they have, they haven't really told me about it. There's like definitely comments on the later videos, but I don't know if those are people that like went through the whole thing. But the people that I know like that get to like weeks 5 and 6, which get a little bit more challenging, by the time you get to that point, you should have most of what you need to get through it. There has been some feedback that maybe week 5, like from week 4 to week 5 is too big of a jump, but I might do like a little mini lessons in between there that you could watch to help fill in some of the gaps. But I think if you take your time and you just do the course like on the schedule, like week 1 should take you 1 week, and if you get done with it in 2 or 3 days, then spend some extra time and go back through those lessons. Like make sure you really understand and grasp the concepts, continue to like build upon the game that you made. So like we make that little ball game. What is going on outside? That is very loud. I hope I'm safe. Yeah, but you if you go through kind of 1 week at a time on schedule, you're also giving yourself time to like absorb. So like when you get to the end of week 1, don't just go to week 2. Like spend some time in that project, like make some levels, make at least 5 levels or 10 or whatever, and just try to keep like reinforcing the principles that you learned. There's not that much you could do honestly in week 1. It's really just like an intro. Week 2, I think you could do a lot with that course. Matter of fact, like I had some feedback from people early on that like really liked week 2 and like spent some additional time developing it. Same with week 1. People, you know, try to put their own spin on those games. It seems like the haunted house project in week 3 and 4 is where a lot of people like really start to find their stride. We start getting into a little bit more kind of intermediate principles, and I think people really like that part of the course. And then, like I said, in week 5, I think maybe it gets a little too hard too fast. At least that's the feedback I've gotten. So I would say like definitely give yourself some extra time before you move to week 5. If you're still struggling at the end of week 4, week 5 is definitely going to be a heavy lift for you. I'm just being honest. Like I didn't intend for it to be that way, but it's kind of like an unintentional thing of, you know, maybe not putting as much as I should have. Although like weeks 3 and 4 were actually longer. I had like a spreadsheet of all the lengths of the videos, and weeks 3 and 4 are like twice as long. So I don't know how much more I could have crammed in there. Yeah, I think the goal is just to give yourself some time. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate all the feedback I've gotten. When I started making the course, I actually did it kind of out of spite. I was talking to this guy who we were like going to collaborate on a thing together with, and he basically decided he's going to do it without me, and I was like, fine, I'm going to do it without you, and then I'm going to do it better. And so I just decided to make the course, and not really sure like what I was gonna do with it, just kind of just wanted to see if I could. And then everyone's like, dude, this is like the best course out there. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm saying that because that's what other people said. I don't think it's the best course out there. It might be the best free course out there. Maybe I should have charged people for it, and then they would have been like, this course sucks. But yeah, I think you know, there's a lot of work too. So let's talk about UI. Let's make some HUD stuff. This is usually stuff that I don't like to do on stream because it's like super boring, but we can talk about it really quick. And really all we're gonna do is I'm just gonna create, I wanna create something where like when the player presses, I don't know, 1, it pulls up like a little stats or something. But I wanna make the stats as like an individual UI. And I suggest doing this like for all of your widgets, like componentize them into like smaller and smaller components that are like built, like don't put everything into one widget. Try to make like widgets within the widgets within the widgets. So I'm going to call one of them stats. And for this, I'm just going to like, this is where I think a lot of people don't know what the right one to use is. Like for instance, you can use a canvas, right? Canvas, which is going to like create a backdrop for the widget. And you can set this to a different size. Usually like by default, it's just set to fill screen. But you can set like a custom size or desired. You can try different screen sizes to see how it looks like on an iPhone or on a smaller monitor, you know? No, I appreciate that. I really tried to like, one of the things that I really wanted was to like have people understand why you're doing something. Like I hate tutorials that are like, you just feel like you're following along and you're kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna keep doing what you're doing and I hope you're not leading me in the wrong direction. And you get to the end and you're just kind of like I created the thing that you said we would and it works the way you said it would, but I don't really know what we did. Like I don't really understand at all what actually happened there. So I really wanted to try to create a course where people like understood what was going on. If you're watching the stream, you don't know what I'm talking about. I have a course on YouTube. It's a intro to blueprints course, intro to Unreal Engine course. It's a really like, starts with like absolute solid basics and kind of builds up over the course of 8 weeks. And by the end, you should have a pretty good understanding of Unreal Engine blueprints. Like, I'm not going to say you're going to be an expert, but like you have a pretty good foundation. And we also do like a lot of other stuff. Like I teach you about source code and how to, you know, use GitHub, things like that, which allow you to work together on projects with other people and collaborate. We talk like in week 8, we do a lot of other stuff. Week 8 was actually the funnest for me because weeks 1 through 7 were basically like building these 4 prototype games. And when I was getting close to week 8, I started asking people for like, send me your games, send me clips of your games, and I'll play them or I'll show them on the channel. And seeing what people had done with the projects was like probably one of the most rewarding things. Like that alone was my favorite lesson. I think it's like week 8. Lesson 6 or lesson 5 or something, but it's just basically like the clips of the games that people made throughout the course. And it was really cool to see that, honestly. Like it was really rewarding. But in week 8 we kind of like go back and we put some extra work into each of the games, and I do a little bit more advanced systems. The intent of those isn't to like have you follow along, it's more to show like what you can do with the projects. Like we built this foundation, and like if you keep working you can make all 4 of them into complete games. So yeah, people don't, I think like there's even one guy I watch for web dev because I'm working on another project, an app for a company, and I'm having to learn like some React stuff and Tailwind stuff. And like these tutorials, like people would be like, oh, watch this guy, he's the best. And I'm just like, I don't know what I don't know what we're doing. I'm just gonna keep following you, and at the end it'll work. But I might as well have just gone to your GitHub and copied the source code from you. Like I didn't actually learn anything, I just made something. So I think it can be really frustrating for people. I'm talking a lot and we're not actually doing anything. I've been looking at this widget. So anyway, what were we doing? So I was talking about how you can use a canvas panel You don't need to do this though, and like typically I don't unless it's going to be something that I know is going to be covering the entire screen, and I want to be and I want like one parent object to control like everything at once. For instance, like in our loading screen, we used one, but that's because I knew we were going to want to like fade in and out the whole thing, right? In our HUD, I have one, but that's because I want like everything in this HUD widget to be contained within something. So I just used a canvas panel. But for like this stats one, we probably don't need a canvas panel. What I would use instead, so there's a few different things you can use. You can use a size box. Size boxes allow you to like set something to the size that you want it to be. So if you want it to always be the same size, you can do that. You can also like, one of the reasons I don't like to use size box, if I'm like thinking ahead, sometimes I will, but it can only have one child. So if I were to take a text and put it in there, like that'll work, right? But then if I try to drag another text in, it won't. So you can only have one child. But what that means, it doesn't mean you can only, it means it can only directly have one child. So if I take a horizontal box and put it into my size box, then this could have as many children as I need it to, right? But the size box itself can only have one child. My question is, if you're gonna do this, then why not? Like, maybe I need to learn something here. Maybe someone here knows, I don't know. But why not just like remove the size box then and make the horizontal box the child? You know? Maybe someone knows. I could probably look into it. I could probably research it and find the answer to that in like 2 seconds. But also like I recommend like checking these out, like just experiment with them. There's some in here that I found just randomly, but like there's a lot of different elements that you can use. Like these common ones obviously are going to be more common. Like border kind of does the same thing as a size box, but you can set like a background image, but I think you can also do that with a size box. Fixed size, yeah. Lets you force the size to a particular size. Hey, I'm just messing around. I don't really have any particular thing in mind. Someone asked me to talk about widgets and UI, so we're just going through some of them, talking about like what they do. One thing I love doing is like if you've ever done web development and you use like flexes. Is there a flex? No. But essentially like the vertical and horizontal boxes are like king. I use those. It really like helps you organize things. And if you understand like a vertical box is going to stack things vertically, and a horizontal box is going to allow you to stack them horizontally. So we can take these two, and now we can see that we have like 2 text elements and an image that are stacked vertically, and then we have a horizontal box which is also vertical, but that has 2 elements in it that are horizontal with each other. So this allows you to, you know, create some interesting UI elements, and like kind of organize things in a way where like they're going to be aligned correctly every time. So for instance, like for our stats, we may not want this one. But maybe we want So maybe we want this to say like stats. Player stats. And we want the name of the stat. So this is going to be like HP. And then we want like the amounts. Let's say like 1500, right? But now let's duplicate this. And we can call like the next one strength. And maybe strength is like 25, 23, right? But like, look at this. It's starting to look terrible, right? Like the way they're aligned. So one of the things you can do here is you can continue to do this way, but what we could also do is now create another widget called WVP stat, and maybe this one is just a horizontal box with 2 text in it, right? And for this, we'll set to desired, and the stat we'll call HP, or maybe you want to have it pull that in. So we can set this as a variable, and we can call this variable text stat name. And this one could be text stat amount, right? But we could set these like, let's have HP. So this is a scale of 1 to 100. So let's have the name always take up 60%, and the stat always take up 40%. You also need to do this. Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I know, like, UI is just not that interesting. It's like kind of boring actually, and I think like I think whenever I'm doing UI, people start to dip. But we can talk about this just for a little bit. Where's the thing I want? Maybe we need some new music too. Anyway, so on construct, stat name, stat amount. We can set text. We can make this a variable. Stat amount. And we can make these instance editable and expose on spawn. Yep. Yeah, widgets are like literally, I think I could make a job. I think I could start an entire side job just saying, let me do your UI for you. I'll do all your widgets. And because people I hate doing it. It's so boring. And it's just like tedious, so tedious. And yeah, I don't think people really enjoy doing it because it's just kind of like a necessity. But you're not really like having fun. You're just kind of like, well, we need a UI, so we might as well. But we're almost done with this, and then I'm going to move on to something more interesting. Let's make something fun. If anybody has an idea on something fun, I know there's only like a handful of you, but if you have something fun you want to make, let's make it. Let's do something fun. We probably should change some music too. That last song was like, oh, putting me to sleep. Let's try this one. This will be a little bit more upbeat. Get people going. We're almost done with this UI stuff. All right. So when we spawn this, we're gonna pull the names in, right? So now here on stats, we can delete this crap. And then we can just call in stat. And then stat 1, let's call this WBP stat HP, and let's call this next one WBP stat strength. And the stat name is going to be strength, and the stat amount will be 23, and this one will be stat name, HP, stat amount, 1500. Yeah, it's fun to make the pieces. It's not fun to be the person that's got to put the pieces together. When I think of this in like componentizing though, it is like interesting to me to like try to like visualize how to break things down, like that we want to have an individual stat, because like now this is scalable. Now we can say like we could just keep adding more stats. So if the scope of the game changes and maybe people say like I want to have a different stat, I want to add like 2 more stats, we could just throw these in here, right? Yeah, of course. I would love to see the progress. If you're not already in the Discord, please head over there. I love seeing the games that people are making. It's so much fun to me. One of the things I love about game dev is like, once you have enough tools in your toolbox, you could literally make anything you want. Like, anything you want. There's no limit. Player stats. So I want to put the stats in here. I'm gonna anchor them to the bottom. But I don't want them to be showing like on default. So yeah, if you're not in the Discord, is my nope. Let me link the Discord for people that aren't in there. Oh God, every time. If you're in the Twitch, it like comes up automatically, but the YouTube it doesn't. HUD. What are we doing here? So I also want to add stats to this, so that when we play, the stats isn't going to be there. Right? It's not visible. But what I want to do is maybe with one of the keys, Let's close some of these things out that we're not using. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna make this work real quick. I'm not gonna do anything like crazy. I'm just gonna use like a key 1. And we're gonna get this HUD because we already have it here. Get stats. So if we press it, we want to show the stats, and if we release it, we want to hide them. Let's see if this works. So now see like the stats we pulled in from there. So like we set those dynamically, but now even more, like you can even go a layer deeper. And you can have like on your player character, let's say you had like a component called like stats or something, or if you're using gas, you might have that as like part of your gas system. You could pull all those in and then set them in your HUD, like set them to the right variable, or maybe, you know, there's a lot of different things that you could do. But essentially, like what we did is in our HUD now is like we have all these components. Like this is our interact component. This is our health bar, which we probably would want to set up as like a, like let's say this game also had like magic and stamina, right? So you have 3 bars, like 3 stats you need to take, keep track of. Man, when people have names that aren't like English, I never know what to say, but I'm gonna say hello to you, Ataguk. Ataguk. Yeah. Hey, that Discord thing works. See, I'm learning things about my own stream. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like, in case you guys haven't figured this out, I'm not good at this stuff. I'm just winging it most of the time. But it's fun. I like being able to be a little bit more like low key. So we probably should have like an additional component if we wanted to have like MP, like magic, power, and stamina, let's say, the 3 common ones in an RPG. We probably want to make like a another widget down here that keeps track of those, right? Inventory would be the same thing. We would want to set up a different widget that controls the inventory. Equipment, like equipped items, same thing. But you really just want to like componentize things. So like even in inventory, I think we did this in week 8 of the course when I was showing how to make an inventory. We made like a very rudimentary inventory. But essentially like each slot of the inventory was its own widget because we wanted to be able to click on it. And we wanted that click to be to like gain access to what was in that slot of the inventory. So yeah, so what I'm doing today is just taking like viewer requests. So I asked in the Discord ahead of time if people had any requests. We talked a little bit about widgets now and UI and how to like create them. Just some really basic stuff. That thing is so loud. Hey, Rufus with the X's. Thanks for the whatever you did. Whatever button you pressed. Thank you for pressing it. I appreciate it. Yeah. What was I talking about? yeah, so what we did is we created some widgets. We talked a little bit about making widgets and how you should try to componentize them as much as possible. We also created a level transition system, which I can show again. So the way this works is we're in this level, which is just a box, and there's one entrance. We go in there. Oh, I just saw a flaw of something. Where's my 2? From. We want to hide. We want to hide the HUD. We're just hacking this together. I don't want to hear anything about casting. That's all we talk about some days. Did we do like a cast rant last time? I just talked about casting for like 10, 20 minutes. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. We want to get HUD. I'm getting a little hacky here. I'm gonna do this for 1.5. I don't know if this will even work, but we're gonna try it. Show HUD. Back here. Why not? Let's just do this again. I'm being a little lazy right now. I don't even know if this is gonna work first of all, but because once we leave the level, we don't have access to this actor anymore, so it might not work. We might just not have a HUD. No, it did work. Look at that. Oh, you know what is interesting? I actually don't think it did work. I think because we set that timer to way higher, right? 1.5. I think when we load the new level, it's automatically something else is showing that. Is it here? Well, let's do this. Let's do that. up after a second. Let's go in here. Perfect. That's better. A little janky, but we did it. All right. So we can go back in here. Shows a loading screen. Go back in here. Now there's two entrances here. There's a left one and a right one. And when we go on the left one in level 3, we'll spawn here. And this is like a U shape. So we can walk over to this one. And now we'll spawn in the other one. They both work both ways. So that's what we did like the first hour of the stream, I think. It took like about an hour. Yeah. What do we got here? Set visibility. Yeah, so this one. We don't need this then. Is that what was throwing the error? Nope. Where is that? Where is that coming from? Your character's camera's a little weird? In what way? Why is that throwing an error? Oh. That'll get rid of that. So yeah, that's working now. We'll probably get the same error. Stat. Why is this? Maybe we need to do this. No. How is it weird? I need to know. widget stuff too much. All right. Got a little bit of time left. Let's shift gears a little bit. I'm gonna close this project down. What else would we work on though? I want to make some changes to this game. Let's close this one down. We're gonna work on invasion. Looks a little weird because your character isn't in the middle. Yeah, it's a stylized choice. Yeah, so I wanted to do like an over the shoulder kind of look for that game. Like it's not your character. Yeah. It's pretty common, right? I guess because it's so far away, it's a little bit like strange looking, maybe. Why is this taking forever? So when I finished week 8, I was working on I did all of the updates to the 4 projects, and I was really kind of rushing. You have so many projects. Yeah, I do. I have a ton. A lot of them are like people that needed help, so they'll send me their project, and then I look at it, and then I forget to delete it. But yeah, I do. This isn't even all of them. I send some of them to an external drive that I don't have plugged in. So yeah. Lots of like demo, like lots of prototypes that I make for people. A lot of like when I follow a tutorial, you know. Some of these are like asset packs. Like this one is just an asset pack that I sometimes pull assets to. But the way that the project was set up, you can't, like, it's not in the marketplace. So I just keep it there so I can pull assets from it. All right, one of the problems I had with this game was the inventory looked wonky. Let's look at what we got. Yeah, so like these widgets didn't look good. There was like tons of bugs too. Like this first aid kit, like this is now working. But the ammo isn't. Let's look at that. Items. All right, let's, there was actually, I think I installed like a so I have like I have a add-on that I was using. Where is it though? Generate thumbnail. This thing is pretty cool. This is an asset pack. So I have this, like this one is rotation. This is my pistol ammo. Use center light. Is this the one I want? Yeah, use close light. Yeah, like this thing's cool. Use border. It just use background. Yeah. Alright. Now save. Okay. Where did I put those thumbnails? Let's just call this texture or T underscore and there it is. Oh, I did already do it. Now I can put that. Here. So now I have the pistol ammo. So now here I can do pistol. There we go. Now when I pick up this stuff. But like it's scaling it weird, which is really annoying to me. I think I tried to fix this before and it was just, I got frustrated. But like, it shouldn't be changing the scaling. It's like hard set. Maybe instead of a border, I need a size box. Maybe that's the problem. Let's try this. wonder if this will do it. No. Like, I just don't know what the hell, like, why is this? I think I was trying to do some stuff in here to refresh inventory. Where's that print string coming from too? Where's this being used? It's been too long. I don't remember how any of this crap works. Nope, that was a bad idea. I don't think this thing's ever actually being called though. There's that print string. Let's take that out. Let's see what happens here. Nope. Did I break it? Yep. But why is that breaking it? Well, I did something. I broke something. All right. Get set. Where are we using this? Inventory item. Brush. Where's this being called though? I don't think I actually changed this, right? What the hell is all this doing then? It's so annoying. All right. Sorry for that little interruption. Set members. Is this what I want? Why is it just always the same? Something is making that squish. And I really wish I knew what it was. It's like no matter what I do it, it's always just looks like crap. Is it this? It shouldn't be that, right? This is why no one likes doing widgets. They're super annoying. They're so annoying. Wouldn't be so bad if like they weren't squished. I'd really like to understand why it's getting squished though. Like, I've overridden it everywhere I could think of. I've used a size box. Like all of these are set correctly. Don't get it. This is set to size to content. Oh well. Probably just wrap it up here then. I'm gonna figure this out off stream when people aren't watching me and it's not annoying. But yeah. Anyway, hope we had fun today. Got a few things accomplished. But yeah, I know like UI is annoying and tedious. It's annoying the hell out of me right now, but it's just like one of those things. It's like a necessary thing. Like every game needs to have some feedback to the player about what's going on. And in this case, we have some annoying feedback that isn't correct, but you know, it is what it is, right? I'll figure it out, and then maybe I'll make a video about it that explains why it wasn't working. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate everyone that stopped by today. I know I'm going to end a little bit short today. I said I'd go for another 30 minutes, but yeah, I think I'm just getting a little bit frustrated and kind of hungry maybe. So if you haven't already, I do have a YouTube channel. Put a lot of videos on there. I'll be editing some of this stuff down into some videos this weekend. But there's a lot of stuff on there. I have a full Blueprints course, Intro to Blueprints, that you can watch. And it gives you kind of a basic understanding of how Blueprints and Unreal Engine work. You have a Discord where you can talk to other people and interact with them, get ideas from them, collaborate, get help when you get stuck. So definitely check out the Discord, check out the YouTube channel. Everyone that stopped by, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.